Hey y'all, this is Real Housewives of Atlanta Husbands Review. So, I was supposed to do this a while ago, and some other stuff came up. So, I'm just now doing it. It came on last Sunday, and I guess they were showing shows. They're not going to show anything tonight but Married with Medicine, and they'll come back with Candy's wedding special next week, and I'll review that. And I will put the link in the description box below, just in case you haven't seen it. Cause I didn't even know that it was coming on until last Sunday. And it wasn't even by like commercials or anything. I just think I was on Facebook and I followed Candy or whatever, and I think she ended up posting it. So we're gonna get into it. So it's just the four guys or whatever, they all meet up, excuse me y'all, down at Peter's bar 1, and they all sit down or whatever, and they're talking, and Peter asks Apollo, why you got shades on and it's dark in here? And he's like, man, I've just been up to 5 o'clock in the morning, dealing with Phaedra. And basically, he was saying how she was having flashbacks, basically, and she just started beating him, hitting him in his sleep or whatever, like, you fucking that bitch, like, what's wrong with you? She was going off, just reliving this whole Kingy situation, and just started, hitting him in his sleep. She threw a shoe at the wall and cracked the sheetrock. She kept him up, basically. I don't know, she saw a reunion, she just had a flashback and decided to whoop his ass. But, that's something Apollo gotta live with until he makes things right. Cause as long as Phaedra feels insecure about it, as long as he tries to act like it's not a big deal, he gonna get them the midnight ass whoopings out of nowhere. So they started to talk about how they're all married to independent women, and really that, they all can exist just fine without their men. And it's true. They've been doing well without their men. They're successful now. They don't need them for financial support. And, Apollo feels like whatever he does is not enough. He said he went out and bought her this big expensive car, I think for her birthday, and she got in the car and she's like, I don't like it. And it kind of hurt his feelings. It kind of crushes his ego or whatever. And he's like, you don't like it. Then the next day she went out and she bought the car that she wanted. And it's fucking with him. I guess, and that's another thing he said. When he got, when they started deciding that he was going to go to jail, he's guilty or whatever, he said something about he felt pressure to keep up with the lifestyle that his wife has. Because she's this millionaire, and she's going to be a millionaire because you've been in jail the whole time. You ain't been making money like she has. But, I don't know, it's stupid though, but I don't know. I guess it's just a male ego thing. So then they go on and Greg talks about, well, Nene's the successful one, but I'm there to support her and to make sure that she stays successful. When she gets up in the morning, I get up 15 minutes before her and start her shower, and I rub her feet. She can't cook, I cook for her. Anything she can't do, she gotta run and do this, but she needs to worry about business. I handle that. And, they all give Greg his props on that, cause a lot of men can't do that. They can't be, they want to be the breadwinner, and they can't be the one to support their woman that's more successful. And then Peter goes on to tell Ty, cause no disrespect, but Candy can have anyone. She's, you ain't even on her level. And he's like, yeah, Ty's like, that's some real shit. And he's like, yeah, like, cause she's a monster. Basically she got all these businesses. She's a multi-millionaire. She don't need you, but she wants you. You're the person she wants. And Cynthia, he said for Cynthia, she was buying, like, she go out, she want a house, she buy a house. She want a car, she buy a car. She don't need, Peter. And when he first met her, he was struggling, but she was on top. And then they get into about the finances, but, they all were strong, independent women. And that's what I like about this show, is that they have a lot of strong, independent women. The only one that wasn't was Portia when she came on, but now she's coming more into her own. And I admire that about these women. So then they get into it and they start talking about when Peter and Greg got into it. And Peter's like, honestly, I blacked out after I heard you want to live, motherfucker. And Greg's like, Peter said something that just, reminded me that I don't remember what happened either. He's like, I blacked out. And then Apollo's like telling Ty, like, yeah, you don't remember when me and Peter got into it. And he's like, oh yeah, I heard about that. And then Todd like, yeah, me and Peter got into it. And they like, yeah, that's right. And Peter like, I got into it with you. And he was like, yeah, you walked up on me. He's like, man, I'm sorry, man. It's that aggressive Brooklyn, Jamaican accent, it's being from Brooklyn and being a Jamaican. It's all together. It's aggressive. When you mellow and you calm, it's like I'm aggressive. That's just who I am. And some people take it the wrong way. And Peter is the one that I actually like all of the men on the show. But Peter is the one that is very aggressive. Him and Todd, they both hustlers from New York. Usually New York men, they just have that mentality of being a hustler. But Peter is, and being aggressive. But Peter is like, he get in the woman's face, the man's face, and he, not necessarily in his way, means bad, but it comes off that way. Apollo, I like Apollo, but he does some stupid shit on this show. And I really do like him, and I hope he gets his stuff together. Not just on the show, period. With this whole thing, with him going to jail for fraud or whatever. They asked him about that. He said, look, what it is was somebody got into some trouble and, they dropped my name, basically. But I do think Apollo, I know Apollo did it. We all know Apollo did it. I think it's stupid as hell. You got 2 kids now. You can't be going behind jail. He can get sentenced for up to 30 years. Now your kids gonna have kids by then. Okay? And you're gonna miss half of the grandkids growing up if you go to jail that long. I hope he doesn't get that much time, but I hope that he learns his lesson. He's gonna continue to do the same stupid shit. He was just in jail a few years ago. But Lord help Apollo. Y'all pray for him and his family. Yes, he did some stupid shit, but his kids don't deserve to go through this. This is not their fault at all. But let's get back into it, y'all. So, Apollo starts to talk about Phaedra and how he doesn't feel as if they're talking about the jail. And Greg asked him, he was like, on some real shit, you going to jail, man? And he's like, No, he's like, but let's say hypothetically I am going to jail. I need you to have my back. I need y'all to all have my back. And Greg like, okay, well, if you go to jail, I'm going to send your ass some moon pies. But hopefully that ain't going to happen. And Paulo's like, yeah, that ain't going to happen. And then he's like, all the guys told him like, yeah, we got your back. Don't even worry about that. And then he was telling them about how he doesn't feel as if Phaedra has his back. And they like, look, if you did an inside meter on her, it's going to say that she has your back. Now, Apollo wants to say that I don't feel like Phaedra has my back in this and that she ain't with me on this, but I feel, other people feel differently. I feel Phaedra did not know what the fuck you was up to or what extent or whatever that what you were doing. Because Phaedra has too much to lose. She really does. And she would not agree with that shit. She gets on him about all this other shit. This is crazy. She would have been on his ass. Now, I don't think that she knew all what he was doing. But you didn't include her in that, because I think she would have probably left your ass or, got you together real quick. You didn't let her know about that. But you want her to have your back on this? I understand y'all married, but come on now. You didn't tell her everything. You did not. You did not tell her all what was going on. And I don't feel, and for that, I don't feel sorry if you say, well, she ain't got my back. Well, is she supposed to have your back when you didn't include her in? I don't have no sympathy for that. So then they go on to the next topic. And they talking about dealing with teenagers. All of them, except for Greg, that's actually his child, but the rest of them, the rest of the teenagers are just stepchilds. And they ask, Greg is the one that bring up teens. He said, how is it dealing with your teens? I know my son, he's starting to feel himself. He's 15. He ain't looking at porno magazines, but he looking at magazines with girls. He started to make sure his hair brushed right, his shoes just right, his clothes is straight. He makes sure his shit is right for the women. For the girls. They ain't women. For the little girls. And so they asked, talking to Peter about it, and he's like, yeah, I think it's crazy that, Riley was, not Riley. What's the girl name? Noelle. Was dating little, I can't even think of that little boyfriend name. I can't think of it, but he's like, I had to put some fear in his heart every time I come around so he can know who running this, basically. And he said he was driving them, I think, from the movie or something, and they was all close up on each other like he was all on her. And he like, man, back in our day, we could never do some shit like that. That's some real slick shit. He was like, man, I almost pulled over and grabbed this little motherfucker up. Like, the nerve of this nigga. So then Ty puts his 2 cents in or whatever. And they ask him about Riley. And he's like, man, Riley has a boyfriend now. They ask him how old Riley is. And he says Riley is 12. She has a boyfriend. I really don't want her, with a boyfriend. And I try to put my 2 cents in or whatever. But it's really something between her and her mother. It's a mother-daughter thing. But I try to slide in and let her know a few things. But, it's... And I don't even think, my opinion, I don't think a 12-year-old should not be having a boyfriend or girlfriend. I don't think a 14-year-old should be having a boyfriend or a girlfriend. For what? I know you're not supposed to be that strict on your child because some kids become loose. I wasn't loose, but Come on now. These little kids don't. That's why teen pregnancy now. I don't think these little kids should be having boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever. The little boy name was Arthur. It hit me. His little name was Arthur. But him and Noel is not together. It never lasts. Who cares? Let's move on. Oh, and they asked Apollo. They started talking about mother-in-laws. And, you know, they asked Ty, how do you feel knowing that you stuck with Mama Joyce for the rest of your life? And he's like, man, it's just so tough. Cause she just keep trying to give me a hard time. And I don't think I'm a bad dude. I don't have any bad intentions. And they was like, yeah, Peter's like, you had it 10 times worse than I had. And Ty's like, yeah, well, she said, give me something, you know, change my mind, basically. And so they asked Apollo about his mother-in-law. And he like, oh, my mother-in-law is so sweet. You know, it's like she lives with us. She comes over Tuesday at 10 o'clock and leave like Friday. And she watches the kids for him. So I don't have no problems with my mother-in-law at all. We get along just fine. So then they start talking about their 3, you know, most attractive housewives other than your wives. So Ty plays the shit out of Apollo. This is why Apollo get the damn nigga comments all the time, cause this is so stupid. They was like, okay, we know yours is Kenya's and who else? And he like, well, I think Lisa Wu. And they was playing the shit out of him. And they was like, I know you, Peter, like, I know you're not about to say Kenya. He's like, no, but I was just thinking, I think Lisa Wu, you know, was very attractive or whatever. And I forgot who his other person was. He probably didn't even pick nobody else. Probably Lisa Wu, Kenya, and Kenya. But, you know, and then Greg says, yeah, I agree that Lisa Wu is, you know, very attractive woman, but I also think that Portia is, you know, very attractive too. And Peter says, well, you know, Portia might not be the brightest, but she's definitely hot. And then, so Ty says, my top 3 is Portia. It's like, Ty, come on now. Don't say this. Mama just gonna start dancing and be like, I told Candy, that dirty motherfucker. I told him he ain't no good. Come on now. I think you had a little too much liquor in your system. Hopefully, you picked Portia because she was the only single one on there other than Kenya. And Kenya is not somebody that either the men want to be talking about how hot she is. Knowing that she messed with married men and their wife is not going to be having, their wives are not going to be having that. I hope that was your reason for it. Cause you saying Portia 3 times definitely was not it. It just was not. So then they go into the topic sex after marriage. Ty brings that up. You know, does the sex get bad after marriage? And Greg's like, look, she get out the shower, them shoes is right there, you know. Sex, having good sex at night starts at how you say hello in the morning. And he was like, just saying a whole bunch of bullshit. And the man was like, man, he's full of shit. Like, and Ty was like, okay, so how about this? Do I say hello like, hello? And Greg was like, hell no, you ain't gonna get no pussy with that. But, yeah, this is a funny topic though, but you know, Peter asked Greg, so how was, you know, you and Nene when y'all, y'all had that time away from each other, y'all had a lot of making up to do. Greg's like, even when, we were apart, I would still have to deliver the mail. And I do remember Nene on, what was like the 4th season or something, she was like, Greg puts it down, honey. And he was actually delivering the mail. That's the funny part. And so, they asked, Peter. And Peter, like, before the fibroids or whatever, we was like animals. We was getting it in every day, basically. And so, yeah, Greg was like, man, he's like, I'm putting this down. When I made love last Friday night, I thought of you. And he said, I'm putting this down for PT. And when they showed that on commercial, I just bust out laughing. Greg is so funny. But I knew that it wasn't nothing gay, nothing homosexual or anything like that. It was funny because I knew that, Greg is just hilarious to me. He says a lot of funny shit. That was real funny. To say, I was thinking, when I made love to my wife last Friday night, I was thinking about you. I'm doing this for PT. And Peter like, you ain't gotta feel bad for me. I'm getting it in now. The fibroids situation is done. We working on this. And so then they asked Apollo, they was like, I know you ain't getting it. How is it for you? And he's like, well, I always get it in. He was like, it don't matter if we mad or not. She gonna always get up. We both Scorpios. It don't matter, it don't matter if we pissed off at each other, we still gonna get it in. Just like after we started arguing last night, we got it in after that. And they talk about Todd, and Todd like, yeah, it's pretty good or whatever. A couple times I had to tap out. Alright, so we're going to the X Factor. And the X Factor is, them talking about how do you feel about your woman's exes. And Peter, I think it was Peter, said they feel like they should always know. They shouldn't walk in a room and not know. Or it might have been Todd. But we shouldn't walk in a room and you not give me a heads up about your ex. And Apollo goes on to say, he was like, yeah, like with Chuck. I didn't know that was Phaedra's ex until I saw the show. And it made it so awkward. It's like, man, this dude, we was in a radio station together. We was vibing together, laughing, all that. And he had been smashed my lady. Basically, he was disrespecting her. And he's a fucking clown. And then, even Peter said he would feel some type of way about that. But, he's cool with Leon, so I guess it just depends on who it is. I mean, he has no choice, really, because that's Noel's father. So, we're going to talk, and Apollo's talking about some bullshit, how he was getting into it with Phaedra about some email that Candy had forwarded to her, that somebody had sent to her talking about Apollo was sleeping with somebody or messing with somebody. And he's like, come on, I don't need this bullshit. Why would Candy even send this to her? And then Todd tell him, like, how we close like this? They even closer. They knew each other before we even knew each other. So they closer. And they just like, you gotta understand that. They got each other's backs. And then, Candy ended up tweeting that she getting blamed for something she didn't even do. I don't even know where Apollo got that from. So then we close it off, and they're talking about Ty's bachelor party. And they asked Peter, can they do it at bar one. And Peter like, yeah, we're gonna get some strippers. Greg's like, yeah, I'm gonna get my pennies and I'm gonna throw it. And they talk about Apollo. He's gonna show up with that damn Don Julio, even though he's supposed to be stopped drinking to get his life together. But that was it for Real Housewives all together. I'm gonna put the link in the description box. And I will be reviewing Candy's wedding special next Sunday. So, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Jazz Chapman, JAZCHAPMAN. Peace.